Hi everybody, I hope you are doing super amazing. Welcome back to another episode of Corporate and Economic Laws. People, quickly we will revise whatever we have learned in the last lecture. The first concept that we understood was leniency program for cartels, which means that businesses who are involved in the cartel agreements, they approach the CCI and disclose their participation in the anti-competitive agreements. Now, why would they do that? They would do that for in exchange of either reduced penalties from CCI or either immunity. Let's understand this with a quick example. Imagine if one of the cement companies involved in a price fixing cartel reports to the CCI, they may receive immunity. Immunity means they will not receive any punishment or they may receive reduced penalty. Now, why would they do that? They would do that for helping the CCI in the investigation process. Okay, cool. Now let's understand the second concept was presumption of anti-competitive agreements, which means that let's come to the mind map. Where is the mind map? People, this is the mind map for leniency program for cartels, which means businesses involved in cartels can approach CCI to disclose the participation in the anti-competitive agreements in exchange for reduced penalties or immunity. This helps CCI to detect and break cartels. Cool. Now, presumption of anti-competitive agreements. Where are they? Yes, people, yes. So people, as per section 3, subsection 3 of Competition Act 2002, what it says is agreements, even though they do not cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition, still they will be presumed to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition. Agreements which are anti-competitive, but even though they do not cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition, still they will be considered as causing appreciable adverse effect on the competition. Let's understand what are they. People, AAEC means appreciable adverse effect on the competition, which means bad impact on the competition. So there are 4 types of agreements. Number 1, price fixing, bid rigging, limiting production supply. The cement example we understood. And 4th is market allocation. Let's understand price fixing. Jio, Vodafone, Airtel, they decide together that instead of competing against each other, why don't we do one thing? Why don't we charge plans at the rate not less than 800 rupees compared to 200 rupees that we were earlier charging? Because of this, consumers will pay us more, and we will also ensure that none of us are going to charge price less than 800 rupees. With this, all the 3 players will mint money. How? Because consumers have got 3 choices in the end. Either they can go to Jio, Vodafone Idea or Airtel. Now, if 3 of them decide that they are not going to charge less than 800 rupees, someone or the other, their pockets is going to be filled. Okay. So, such type of agreements is deemed to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition. This is called as price fixing, fixing the prices. Cool. Next is bid rigging, people. Let's understand this with an example. Quickly we'll understand, okay? The government wants to build a roadway. The government wants to build a roadway. For that, he invited tenders from A, B, C, D. He invited tenders from A, B, C and D who are into real estate construction project business. Cool. Now A submits a bid of 50 CR, B submits 100 CR, C submits 150 CR and D submits 120 CR. Now you tell me, whom do you think the government will approve the tender to? Obviously A will receive the tender because he has submitted the least price. So A will win the tender. This is what happens usually. Now in bid rigging, what happens is A, B, C, D. Now these people decide among themselves that who is going to win the tender this time. Let's say they have decided that B is going to win the tender this time. Cool. Now B, if he quotes 100 crore rupees for a tender that should be approved for 50 CR rupees, now what these 3 people will do is they will purposefully quote higher prices. 120 CR, 130 CR, 150 CR. Now who do you think the tender will be approved to. Obviously, B will win the tender because he is the least, he has submitted the bid for the least price, correct? Now, what is the profit a person has made? 100 crores minus 50 crores, okay? So, 50 CR will be distributed among all the three players. This is, they have got motivation now, financial objective, it is there. So, this 50 CR additional will be enjoyed by these three players A, C and D, so that they will also decide next time who is going to win the vendor, who is going to win the tender, and accordingly the again profit will be distributed among all the three people. This is called as bid rigging. Ultimately, government is at a loss, consumers at a loss. Clear? So this thing should not happen. This is presumed to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition, hence it is not allowed. Cool? People quickly are revising, okay? Limiting production supply, and I taught you with the cement industry example. Demand for the cement is rising, but the supply is not rising, because of which price starts to shoot up and these people are minting money. Cool? A market allocation. What this means is Vodafone, Jio, Vodafone Idea, Jio, Airtel. They decide among themselves that you operate in the east, I will operate in the north, and you operate in the south, so that none of us will be competing against each other. Consumers have got only one choice. In the north, they have got only one company, that is Vodafone Idea. In the south, they have got only one company, that is Jio. And in the north, okay, the remaining will be, the remaining part of the area consumers will go to that person. So people, nobody is competing, but who is at a loss? Consumers are at a loss. Clear? So, four types of agreements, they are presumed to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition. Understood? Perfect. Now, what are the exemptions from anti-competitive agreements? Let's understand the example first, then we will quickly read the definition. A pharmaceutical company restricting drug manufacturing to protect its patented formula. So, a pharmaceutical company is scared that if it produces drugs in huge amount, there is a risk or possibility that the patented formula may get leaked. So what they do is, instead of producing in mass, they only restrict the production to 2 or 3 factories, so that the formula will not get leaked and their patent will be secured. So for that purpose, they don't want this patent formula to be leaked. Cool? So such type of agreement is not considered as anti-competitive agreements. Agreements related to copyright, patent, trademark, designs and semiconductor layout designs. Okay. Next is export agreement. Imagine this. I live in India. I am into the business of manufacturing luxury foreign cars. I am in the business of manufacturing luxury foreign cars. Now I know I will not make money if I sell the cars in India, but I know I will make huge amount of money if I sell those cars in Las Vegas. Okay. So I will pick a distributor from Las Vegas. I will make an agreement with him that you are only supposed to sell my cars in the city of Las Vegas and not any other company. Cool. So this type of agreement is called as export agreement. Clear? A car manufacturer agreeing to exclusive export rights for a foreign distributor. So two types of agreements are not considered as anti-competitive. Number one is protection of intellectual property rights and number two is export agreement. Clear? Now, then we understood the meaning of dominant position. Let's understand this with the mind map. So dominant position means, people, ability of a company to do two things. Number one is operating independently of competition. It doesn't care who are its competitors because it is on the top. The second is affecting competitors, customers or the market in its favor. How? By controlling price, by controlling availability or by controlling quantity. Okay. Now let's understand this with an example. Classic example we understood in the last lecture, that was of Google. Real life example of a dominant position, Google in online search engine advertising. Cool. One of the best real world examples of a company dominance is the online search engine. Okay. So Google holds a dominant position in the which market? Online search engine and digital advertising market. Now we are going to understand two things. How Google enjoys the dominant position and how Google uses that dominant position. Clear? Let's understand how Google holds a dominant position. Google holds a market share of 90% share in the global online search engine market, which means 90% of the people go to Google if they want to search any information. Number 2 is advertising power. Google controls a huge portion of digital advertising market of the businesses. So if businesses want to promote themselves and gain visibility, they don't have any other choice except to go to Google. Now, number 3 is competitors. Competing search engines like Bing, DuckDuckGo or Yahoo, these people struggle to gain market share because Google is deeply imbibed in our habits, in our mobile phones, in our web browsers. Cool? So this is how Google enjoys a dominant position in the market. Now let's understand how Google uses that dominant position in the market. Number 1, it operates independently of competition. It is a default search engine everybody uses, even you use. Next is, let's understand how it affects competitors and consumers. Google prioritizes its own products in search results like Google Maps, Google Flights, YouTube over competitors. Next is competitors that rely on Google search engine, companies that rely. If I want to promote my company, I need to follow Google's ad policies and the search engine optimization rule. Search engine optimization rule means they will tell me which keyword I should add in my website so that I can gain visibility. So there are certain rules. Search engine optimization. The keyword that I should use in my website so that my website will be on the top. I will have visibility. Okay. Next, I also have to follow Google's ad policies. People now tell me one thing. If the Google's ad policies or search engine optimization rules is too hectic and too complicated, do I have a choice to go to any other person? No. And that's where Google uses its dominant position. Okay. Number 3, Google can charge higher advertising rates because we don't have any other choice. Understood? Perfect. Now, let's read the definition once again. Dominant position, ability of a company, Google, to do 2 things. Number 1, operating independently of the competition. Google does not care who are its competitors. Yahoo, Bing, DuckDuckGo, they are in the top, they are in the bottom, and Google is on the top. Next is affecting competitors, Yahoo, DuckDuckGo, Bing, consumers, businesses who want to gain visibility in its favor. So Google can increase the ad prices in the future if they want. They can do anything because, and we have to pay people. We have to pay. We do not have any other choice. To earn money, any business needs visibility. Without visibility, the business cannot earn money. So we have to follow Google's ad policies. Clear? Now, let's understand the meaning of abuse of dominant position. When a business or a group which holds a dominant position in the market, when a business or a group which holds a dominant position in the market uses its power unfairly is the keyword, people, unfairly to harm the competitors or the consumers. Okay, let's understand it once again. Dominant position means when a business or a group which holds a dominant position in the market uses its power unfairly against consumers or competitors. Clear? Yes. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 types of, there are 4 ways in which abuse of dominant position can happen. There is another way, 5th, we'll discuss in the last. So what are the 4 practices? Number 1 is unfair practices. First, we understood was under unfair practices 2 points. Number 1, condition in purchase or sale of goods or services. For example, this is an iPhone that cost 85,000 rupees. I already have an iPhone. Now Apple introduces a new model of iPhone that is 10 times better than this iPhone. I already have a charger and earphones of Apple with me. So what Apple does is, Apple tells its consumers that when you buy the new model for 1 lakh rupees, you have to pay for charger, you have to pay for earphones. There is no exception to that because we are giving 1 lakh iPhone, 1 lakh rupees iPhone along with earphones and charger. So okay, you cannot take only iPhone specifically. You have to take charger and earphone. Such type of condition is people, it is very wrong condition in purchase or sale of goods. Such type of conditions Apple cannot impose. If it imposes, it is called as abuse of dominant position. Clear? Under unfair practices, first condition was condition in purchase of sale of goods or services. Next is charging price lower than the cost. So we understood this with an example of Jio. In 2018, what Jio did was it provided free 4G services to its customers. Because of that, into its funnel, it attracted a lot of consumers, and because it attracted a lot of consumers, what happened was Airtel, Vodafone, Idea, they were suffering huge losses, because why would any consumer go to them? They are charging price. Jio is not charging any price. So everybody came to Jio, and because of that, these people started getting into losses, because of which Vodafone, Idea, they merged together to sustain in the competition. Clear? Now, when Jio offered free services, free 4G services, it is considered as charging price lower than the cost. Jio's plan was when customers come into their funnel, they will obviously use our services. These people will run into losses. How long will they run into losses? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 5 years, 6 years. After 6 years, they will leave the market, and then if there are no competitors, then we will start to increase the pricing from free to any amount they want to charge. So this should not happen. That is why this agreement, such type of practice, is also called as abuse of dominant position. Okay, this was a very simple example, people. Now let's understand an example of Amazon Cloud Services. Very, very interesting. Amazon Cloud Services. Amazon Cloud Services. Yes. People, we all know how successful Amazon is, how much money they have. Okay, they have got money in billions and billions of dollars. Okay, and how did they got that money? By selling things online, books, electronics, clothes. They had a lot of customers and lot of money. Two things they had: customer base and money. With that customer base and money, even if now people, imagine I want to get into cloud computing services. Cloud computing service means, let's understand this with a mind map. Okay, Amazon earned billions of money from retail business, we all know. Number two, what it did was it entered into cloud computing service. Cloud computing service means where we can design websites and store their data. Okay, this is a very, very important business. So people, tell me now, if I start cloud computing service today, can I charge price lower than the cost? If I charge price lower than the cost, I will lose billions of dollars. Okay, now not billions, people, millions of dollars. Sorry. Now Amazon have got billions of dollars. Would they mind if they lose millions of dollars? They won't mind. But if I lose millions of dollars, I will not sustain in the business. So Amazon, what it did was it started offering cheap services in the cloud computing service, because of which people started going towards Amazon, because they are providing cheap of cost and I am charging money. People, tell me one thing, why would they come to me to do their business? It's impossible. So what Amazon did was, Amazon is okay with losing millions of dollars or rupees because it has got billions of dollars in money. Okay? Now, if they charge lower than the competitors, it was okay with losing some money, obviously. By the time competitors died, by the time I stop my business, because every single customer will go to Amazon, by the time I stop my business, Amazon will start increasing the pricing. So this example has happened in real life, people. Okay. So two things we understood. Number one is unfair practices, condition in purchase of sale of goods or services, where we understood iPhone, charger, earphone example. Number two is charging price lower than the cost. We understood this with an example of Jio and Amazon Cloud Services. Understood? Clear? Perfect. Now let's understand limiting or restricting production or market access. Under that, we will understand limiting production. What does limiting production means? We understood the cement example, whereby demand for the cement is rising. these people, instead of increasing the supply, they are decreasing the supply, because of which supply is less, demand is more. This has led to price to shoot up, and they are minting money by charging whatever amount they want. Such type of practices is considered as limiting production, that is limiting or restricting production or market access. Next is restricting tech or scientific development. Let's understand this with an example first, and then we will come to the concept. Yes, Taiwan and China. Have I drawn the mind map? Okay. Yes, people. Yes. So people, we all know that Taiwan is the largest manufacturer of semiconductors in the world. Now, what are semiconductors? They are very useful in manufacturing high-tech computer chips. Now, why do we need high-tech computer chips? To power phones, to power laptops, to power AI, to power even military tech equipments. So it is a very crucial element in any electronic equipment. Okay. Now, so who is the largest manufacturer? Taiwan is the largest manufacturer. Taiwan's company, Taiwan Semiconductors Manufacturing Company, makes over 60% of the world's advanced chips, and China needs these chips to build its tech. So China also wants to become a tech superpower. Now for that they need chips, and who produces most of the chips? It is produced by Taiwan. Now let's understand what happens next. Taiwan and the US won't sell advanced chips to China, which means China can't buy the best chips or the machines needed to make them. Now, without access to Taiwan's tech chips, China struggles to build AI, smartphones, and even military tech equipments as fast as US and Taiwan. So China's technological progress is reduced by whom? US and Taiwan. Now, tell me one thing, why don't China start making its own chips? Because if China starts making its own chips, it's going to take years and billions of dollars to make computer chips. Now, why is this a big deal? This is big deal because China wants to be a tech leader, but Taiwan controls the most important tech. This has created a chip war where countries fight for control over semiconductors, which are as valuable as gold in the world right now. So bottom line is, people, Taiwan and the US are blocking China from getting the best chips, slowing down their tech progress in AI, military, and high-tech devices. This is a classic example of how an organization restricts technology to control the market. Understood, people? Perfect. So we understood two things: unfair practices and limiting or restricting production or market access. Under unfair practices, we understood condition in purchase or sale of goods or services. Number 2, charging price lower than the cost. Next is under limiting or restricting production or tech access, market access. Limiting production, cement example. Number 2, restricting tech or scientific development. Now, this denying market access, again, we can quote the same example of Taiwan and China, whereby Taiwan is stopping China from getting access to latest tech. Okay, so this is called as denying market access. The last is making contracts with extra unnecessary obligations. App Store, app developer. Let's understand this. People, imagine I want to design an app. I have designed the app. I have listed it on App Store. Tomorrow, if you want to purchase the app, you have to make use of payment gateway. Correct? Now, I cannot use different payment gateways like PayPal or Stripe or GPay or any other payment gateway. You are only supposed to use payment gateway designed by Apple. The reason is, if you pay me 100 rupees, 30 rupees will go to Apple, 70 rupees will come to me. Because of this, Apple is minting lot of money and I am not getting the price that I want. I have to charge you more for that so that I can get 100 rupees. If I want to get 100 rupees, you have to pay 130 rupees, people. Even though the price actually is 100 rupees, but Apple is taking 30 rupees, 30% commission. So I will obviously definitely increase my price, right? So that I can get 100 rupees. So I will increase the pricing from 100 to 130 so that when you pay 130, 30 rupees will go to Apple and 100 rupees will come to me. With this, the problem is, people, problem is Apple is minting money, Apple is taking 30% of my money and I have to charge you extra for that, because of which it will create a friction in your mind as to why should I buy his product. Because in India, I am able to buy the same product at a cheaper price if I use other payment gateway, but I have to make use of Apple's payment gateway, because of which I have to charge you more. That's going to create a friction in your mind as to why should I pay so much. Okay, so this is called making contracts with extra unnecessary obligations. Clear? Okay, perfect. The last is, sometimes a company with a strong position in one market uses its dominance to enter and control another market. You can quote an example of Amazon Cloud Services. Amazon is using its existing retail market. It has grown big in existing retail market. It has got customer base, plus it has got huge amount of money. With that, they are going to enter into new business, that is cloud computing service. Understood? People, after this I will tell you one very important thing. Okay, using dominant position in one market to enter another market. Using dominant position of one market to enter another market. Amazon Cloud Computing Services. Clear, people? Quickly you can take a screenshot or just pause this video and draw the mind map. Please, people, be very diligent in drawing the mind maps, because this is what is the USP of this module. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. If you are not understanding any words, refer and read the text from the left hand side and then you draw the mind map yourself. I have not purposefully scribbled over here, but I want you to read the text so that it will be a quick revision for you also. Unfair practices, condition in purchase of sale of goods service, iPhone charger, earphone example. Number 2, charging price lower than the cost, Jio, Vodafone, Airtel, Amazon Cloud Services. Clear? People, I want you to pause this video and draw the mind map. Okay. Next is limiting or restricting production or market access. Limiting production, cement players. Restricting tech or scientific development, Taiwan, China, semiconductor. Denying market access, same example we can give. Making contracts with extra unnecessary obligations, App Store app developer. Using dominant position of one market to enter another market, Amazon Cloud Computing Services. People, now tell me one thing. Imagine you are the exam paper checker. There are 2 students who have written the exam, same exam. One student just explains the concept in the bookish language from the module with very oversimplified example, A, B, C, D, such type of example they have used. And there is one more student like me. Okay, I will not take my name, I will take my student's name. Example, Munni Swami Dasari. Okay, Munni Swami Dasari is my student. So what he does is, he explains the concepts in his own words first, because he has understood every single thing in detail. He has not mugged up, he has not roted any context. Okay, he has not mugged up, he has not mugged up. Okay, now he has written the answer in his own words. So examiner will think that, okay, he has written the answer in his own words, he has not used the keywords, I will give him 1 mark. But people, that is where we come in. That is why this mind map comes in. Now, what Munna will do is, he will explain the concept in his own words. After that, he will explain this with examples like China, Taiwan, Apple App Store app developer. Next is Amazon Cloud Computing Services, Jio Vodafone Airtel, and then one more example. What was that? Cement example. If Munni Swami explains the concept using such amazing example, real life case study based, super amazing, interesting, mind blowing, along with this mind map. Tell me one reason why Munni Swami Dasari will receive not less than 5 marks and this guy will receive 5 marks. Tell me one thing. You are the examiner, you see 2 papers, one person has written in his own language, but he has lot of knowledge. He has written the answers in such a way that he has shown the examiner that he has got tremendous amount of knowledge, okay, apart from module. He has included case studies, examples, mind maps, explained the answer in his own words. Don't you think examiner will think that this guy has super knowledge and he has used and he has explained the concept in his own words along with super informative examples? Why do you think the examiner will give him less than 5 marks? Tell me one thing. People, this is what institute expects from you. To not just be rote learning and not just mug up the concepts and just write oversimplified examples. You have to have such type of knowledge also, real life case study based, what's going around the world, what's happening with the companies. Okay. Now tell me one thing, over here, Google example. Google example. We understood this concept with an example of Google. People, that's super amazing. When you write answers like this, no people, your answers will be far different and you will be far ahead from the 99% of the cost accountant students who will be writing the exam. That is my goal. I want to ensure that your paper, examiner should get super impressed. He should not just give you marks. Exemption you will obviously get, but I don't want you to just get an exemption. I want you to give your level best to put so much knowledge into the paper that examiner will be super impressed. Okay, we want to impress the examiner. Okay, we want to challenge the status quo. Status quo means whatever is happening right now, we need to be super different and ahead of what everybody is doing, people. Okay, if you study and if you read like this, people, the knowledge base you have will be super exponential compared to these people. Okay, yes people. So the crux is, the bottom line is, I want you to write such examples in the exams. Even though you do not understand the examples, just write whatever you know along with mind maps, underline the keywords, explain the concepts in your own words, because people, rote learning is not our thing. Okay, we are professionals now, we need to have knowledge base. Rote learning is super easy. Such type of acquiring knowledge is difficult, and people, the difference between an ordinary person and an extraordinary person is that extra. Okay, so don't ever stop from giving that extra in the exam. Clear? Perfect. Whew. Predatory pricing also we have understood. When predatory pricing means, people, okay, where is this mind map? Okay, let's read this. First, people, we will always start with an example, then we will come to the definition or the concept explanation part, because the reason is, when you read the example, it's super interesting, you will be super focused and you will love it when you read the examples. You will also understand what's going on. After that, when you read the definition, you will understand every single word that's there in the definition. You don't have to read it twice or thrice. Okay, if you read the definition once, you will be confused, and then you will say, okay, let's come to the example part. And when you read the example part, yes, you will understood. And then would you again go to the definition part, read it again? No, because we people are lazy. Okay, so what we are going to do is, we will first read the example and then we will come to the definition part. Cool? Perfect. Example. When Jio launched in India, it offered data and calling services at extremely low prices, much lower than its production cost to attract customers. This put a lot of pressure on other competitors as they couldn't afford to match Jio's prices. Over time, many smaller companies struggled and some even exited the market. Once Jio had fewer competitors, it raised its prices effectively using predatory pricing to dominate the market and eliminate competition. I told you, once Jio attracts all its customers into its funnel, and once the competitors exit the market, then Jio will start to increase the pricing. Okay, perfect. Yes. The next, so today's concept that we are going to learn is combinations and its regulations. Okay, combinations and regulations. Let's understand this. People, before we begin this concept, let's understand basic difference between merger, amalgamation and acquisition. For example, if Facebook acquired WhatsApp, WhatsApp may exist or WhatsApp may not exist. Okay, let's say when Myntra acquired Jabong fashion company, Jabong was not into existence after that. Okay, now when Flipkart acquired Myntra, Myntra is still into existence. So exist. Okay, when an acquisition happens, the company may exist, the company may not exist. Okay, so when one company takes control or buys another company, the company being bought usually continues to exist, but now it's controlled by the other company. So when Myntra's control goes to Flipkart, it is called as acquisition, or when WhatsApp's control goes to the Facebook, it is called as acquisition. Clear? Now, what is the difference between merger and amalgamation? Vodafone Idea got amalgamated. So let's read the first definition. When two companies join together to form a new one, it's like two teams coming together to form a new team. Amalgamation, this is a type of merger when it's between two companies combine their businesses and resources to create a completely new company, leaving behind the old ones. I did not understand anything. Let's understand this first. People, when Jio attracted lots of customers into its funnel, Vodafone Idea, these two people were facing tremendous amount of losses. So what they did was, let's merge together. So Vodafone Idea, they came together and formed one company. Okay, now these people are not different companies, they are now one companies. Both companies exist, but they exist as one single company. When amalgamation happens, old companies do not exist, but they come together and form a new company. Understood? That's the basic difference. In amalgamation, old companies does not exist, but in merger, old companies exist. That's the basic difference. Understood? Perfect. So amalgamation example is Bank of Baroda, Vijaya Bank and Dena Bank. These three banks amalgamated to create a single new entity called Bank of Baroda. The three old banks ceased to exist and brand new identity was formed by combining the assets and operations of all the three banks. People, basically, merger, Vodafone plus Idea. The basic difference, okay, I will just come to the basic difference. In merger, old companies exist. In amalgamation, old companies cease to exist. This is the very thin line of difference between merger and amalgamation. Cool. Now let's understand what this concept of combinations and its regulations is saying. People, combination refers to acquisition, merger, amalgamation. Combination refers to acquisition, merger, amalgamation of what? Of enterprises, amalgamation, merger, acquisition of enterprises where the nature of control or the ownership of assets changes significantly. Okay, nature of control or the ownership of assets changes significantly. What is combination? Combination means acquisition, merger, amalgamation of what? Of enterprises whereby nature of control or the ownership of assets changes significantly. This is called as combination. Let's understand this first with an example. Acquisition of enterprise. People, like, we follow the rule, we are not going to read the definition first, we are always going to start with the examples first. Okay, then we will understand the definition. In 2014, Flipkart, one of the leading e-commerce companies, acquired Myntra, a popular online fashion retailer, for around $330 million. This acquisition involved the purchase of Myntra's assets, including its tech, inventory, brand and customer base, making Myntra a subsidiary of Flipkart. So what happened over here is, Flipkart people, I'm taking a photo so that I don't have to scroll again and again. Okay. Flipkart is into the business of obviously e-commerce. Flipkart is into different businesses. Flipkart sells a lot of things in the online retail market. Among that, it also sells clothes plus apparels. Correct? Now it has acquired Myntra. It has acquired Myntra for $330 million. Whereby all its assets were transferred to Flipkart. Assets included tech, inventory, brand, customer base. This is also an asset, people. Customer base. So Flipkart acquired Myntra. Myntra is into the business of, again, clothes and apparels. Clothes plus apparels. So Flipkart acquired Myntra, which is into clothes and apparel business, for $330 million. Okay, whereby tech, inventory, brand, customer base went to Flipkart. Understood? Under the Competition Act, the CCI reviewed this deal to ensure that it did not substantially reduce or eliminate competition in the online retail market, particularly in the fashion and apparel segment. The CCI approved the acquisition, stating that the combined entity would not lead to any significant anti-competitive effects due to the presence of other strong competitors like Amazon, Snapdeal and others in the market. Amazon, Snapdeal were already, there were so many players in the market, so this is not going to create a bad impact on the competition. This acquisition is an example of asset-based acquisition in the e-commerce sector, which involved purchasing control over Myntra's operation while preserving competition law scrutiny. Okay, let's forget that. Now let's come to the definition part. Okay, we understood Flipkart acquired Myntra for $330 million, whereby assets were trademark, patent, tech, inventory, customer base transferred to Flipkart. This occurs when one or more persons acquire control over one or more enterprises. So, where one or more persons acquire control over one or more enterprises. Clear? One or more persons acquire control over one or more enterprises. Clear? Now, it could be through purchase of assets, say shares, or other forms of control. It could be from purchase of assets. This is asset. It could be shares. It could be voting rights or any other form of control. Understood? Okay. A combination happens when a person or group takes control of a business that competes with another business they already own or control. So, Flipkart is already into the business of online retail market. Along with the online retail market, it also sells clothes and apparels. So, Flipkart is acquiring a business that is competing with its existing business, that is clothes and apparels. Clothes and apparels. Clear? Essentially, it's when two businesses are brought under the same ownership or control, which can reduce the competition in the market. Clear? Instead of 10 players, now there will be only 9 players. This is called as acquisition of enterprises. Over here, the Myntra is completely acquired by Flipkart for $330 million. Understood? Perfect. Now, we'll understand what is the meaning of acquisition of control. Okay. Now we understood the meaning of acquisition of enterprise, where the entire enterprise is acquired. Now we will understand acquisition of control. Okay. Always start with an example. In 2020, Reliance Industries acquired a controlling stake in Future Group. Future Group owns big companies like Big Bazaar, and next is FBB. FBB, what is the full form of FBB? Okay, FBB means fashion in Big Bazaar. Clear? So, FBB is also basically owned by Big Bazaar, and Big Bazaar was bought by Reliance Industries. Sorry. Okay. People. Reliance Reliance Industries acquired Future Group. Future Group owns Big Bazaar plus FBB, that is fashion at Big Bazaar. Basically it's a segment of Big Bazaar. Okay, fashion at Big Bazaar. So Big Bazaar owns FBB. Clear? Reliance Industries acquired Future Group. Future Group owns Big Bazaar and FBB. Now let's come to the concept. For example, this acquisition brought control over a major retail player in India under one of the largest conglomerates in the country. So this was a major retail player in the market. Major retail player. Clear? Now, why is this important? This is important because Reliance entry into the retail sector through this acquisition had the potential to disrupt the entire retail market, especially with a strong online and offline presence. Reliance has got a strong offline and online presence. Now it has bought one of the biggest player in the retail segment category, that is Future Group. CCI had to ensure this combination did not hurt competition by limiting consumer choice or inflating prices. Okay, so instead of only being 3 players, if Reliance purchases 2 players, that is Big Bazaar and FBB, there will no be choices for okay. When there are only okay, the more fewer players are there in the market, the more fewer players are there in the market, the less choices and independence the consumers will have. Okay, Otherwise, people, what happen is, if there are no competitors, the only player in the market can charge heavily. Or if there are only 2 players or 3 players, like I told you, Reliance, Jio, Vodafone Idea, they will collaborate themselves. They agree with each other to fix a certain price, to not charge consumers less than certain price, and that less than can be super huge. Okay, such type of things should not happen. That is the reason why CCI had to intervene. Okay. Next, additionally, the regulation considers merger amalgamation where the combined entities exceed a threshold. Threshold we are going to understand in the next concept. Okay, these thresholds are set out to monitor the potential anti-competitive effects of such combinations on the Indian market. If the combination causes or likely to cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition within the relevant market in India, the combination will be prohibited and be void. It will not be into force. In simpler terms, if a merger or acquisition will likely harm competition by reducing market choices, increasing prices, or reducing innovation, it is illegal. Okay. Now let's understand the definition part. Acquisition of control refers to gaining control of an enterprise, that is Future Group. Reliance is gaining control over a Future Group that already has direct or indirect control over another enterprise. Future Group has direct control over Big Bazaar and indirect control over FBB, because FBB is again owned by Big Bazaar. So Future Group indirectly controls FBB and directly controls Big Bazaar. And when Reliance acquires Future Group, this control could, okay, has already control which is involved in similar competing businesses. This control could be through voting rights, shareholding, or other means of that influence decision making within enterprise. People, when Future Group is acquired by Reliance, Reliance is having an indirect control over Big Bazaar and another indirect control over FBB. The reason is Future Group owns Big Bazaar and Future Group has indirect control over FBB. So once Reliance acquires controlling stake, I am not telling Reliance is completely acquiring Future Group. It is acquiring controlling stake, 60%, 55%, 57%, which gives Reliance the power to influence the decisions of Future Group. Understood? Perfect. This is called as acquisition of control. Next, we will understand this merger or amalgamation. Again, with an example. In 2018, Vodafone Idea and Idea Cellular merged to create Vodafone Idea Limited, the largest telecom operator in India. This is an example of merger acquisition when 2 major players in the telecom sector combine their operations. This combination significantly impacted competition in the Indian telecom market, reducing the number of major telecom players from 5 to 4. This is where Competition Commission of India had to review whether this merger would result in reduced competition and increase the pricing for customers. Basically, people, Vodafone Idea got merged. This refers to merger or amalgamating of 2 or more businesses. Vodafone Idea was 2 business, where the operations, assets, or financial structures blend together often to strengthen their position in the market. This combined entity may have a dominant market position or enhanced capacity in the competition. When Jio was charging free, when Jio was providing free 4G services to customers, these people faced huge losses. Now they need to have someone who can support them, who can complement each other. So Vodafone got Idea and Idea got Vodafone. By merging these 2 enterprises, they became a strong dominant player in the market, equal to Reliance Jio and Airtel. Clear? Now let's come to the mind map. So till here we understood combination refers to merger, acquisition, amalgamation of enterprises where ownership of control or by nature of control or ownership of assets changes significantly. Clear? Now we understood what are the 3 types of combinations. Number one is acquisition of enterprise. Means acquisition of enterprise was Flipkart Myntra. When one or more persons, Flipkart acquires control over one or more enterprises, Myntra, whereby the shares, assets and others are getting transferred to the acquirer. Basically, it is when two competing businesses for clothes and apparels are brought under the same ownership or control. Same ownership control. Thereby reducing competition. Okay, instead of 10 players, now there are 9 players. Competition is getting reduced, clear? Next is acquisition of control. Gaining control of an enterprise, Reliance gained control over Future Group that already has direct or indirect control over another enterprise. Future Group already has direct control over Big Bazaar and indirect control over FBB, involved in similar competing business activities. This could be through shares, voting rights or assets. Clear? Next is merger or amalgamation. When merger or amalgamation of two or more businesses where operations, assets or financial structure, where the operations, financial structure or the assets can blend together. Vodafone Idea's assets, financial structure or operations, they blend together, means complement each other to strengthen their position in the market. This is called as combination and types of combination. People, don't you think this mind map made it so easy, super easy to understand this concept? Quickly pause this video, take a quick screenshot. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam. That's it. Today we are going to continue. Next we are going to start with the last concept of today's, that is threshold set in the act. Threshold set in the act. People, tell me one thing. Today I start a company. Along with me, another friend has started a company with me. We both are very small companies. This is the first scenario. Second scenario is scenario 1, scenario 2. Two small companies, they want to merge or get acquired or any other type of corporate restructuring. So we will take example of merger. Okay, so these two companies are merging. They are very small. They are very small. This is scenario number 1. Over here, this is A is a big company, B is another big company. Now they want to merge. Okay, tell me one thing, people. Tell me one thing. There are hundreds of merger like this, and there are hundreds of mergers like this before Competition Commission of India to ensure whether they are causing an appreciable adverse effect on the competition. They want to review people, CCI wants to review hundreds of mergers like this and hundreds of mergers like this. Whom do you think CCI will first choose? Which 100 companies are getting merged to review? Obvious, this one, people. These small companies are not going to cause any appreciable adverse effect on the competition. The reason is they are small. These companies are big players, so they may cause or they may not cause appreciable adverse effect on the competition. That is the reason why CCI will review only these type of companies and not these type of companies. Understood? Now, question is, when can CCI decide if this company is big or small, or if this company is big or small? So basically this is a combination, right? Basically, when A and B are merging, it's a combination. Correct? So who is going to decide which combination is going to be reviewed by CCI? Okay. Basically, how big the company should be so that CCI will be able to review them. Okay, that's what we are going to study now. Okay, that is thresholds set in the Act. Where is it? Thresholds. The Act sets specific thresholds to determine whether when a combination can be reviewed. These thresholds ensure that only the larger transactions undergo scrutiny. These thresholds are classified into two categories: individual and group. The Act sets specific financial thresholds to determine when a combination must be reviewed. These thresholds ensure that only larger transactions undergo scrutiny. These thresholds are classified into two categories. Number one, individual. Number two, group. Let's understand. Individual means Flipkart acquiring Myntra. Okay, Flipkart was only one company, Myntra is only one company. This will be called as an individual. Now, future group. This will be considered as a group. It will not be considered as an individual company because it owns a lot of companies. Among those companies, there are Big Bazaar, FBB. Reliance Industries will also be considered as a group because it also owns a lot of companies. Clear? So, we will understand the concept of group right now. Individual means individual companies. Group means group includes entities that are under common control. Basically, entities that are under common control will be considered as group. It can be directly or indirectly. Directly means Future Group owns Big Bazaars, but it also indirectly controls FBB. The reason is Big Bazaar already owns Future Group. It includes, group means group includes entities that are under common control either directly or indirectly, which include companies, firms, individuals. Mukesh Ambani, Nita Ambani, Anant Ambani. Okay, these three people are the managing director or the largest. Okay, these three companies are the largest shareholder of their own company. These three individuals are the largest shareholders of the three companies. So these three individuals will also be categorized under group. Includes company, firms, individuals collectively that help them to collectively influence management choices, decisions of the involved entities. For example, A, B, C. Anant Ambani, Mukesh Ambani, Nita Ambani. Anant Ambani is the largest shareholder of A, Mukesh Ambani is the largest shareholder of B, Nita Ambani is the largest shareholder of C. Cool. Now, Mukesh Ambani tells Anant Ambani to make certain decisions in company A. Nita Ambani tells Mukesh Ambani to take certain decisions in company B. Mukesh Ambani also tells Nita Ambani to take certain decisions in C. So, these three people will be considered as a group. Clear? Influencing management, policy decisions of involved entities. People quickly take a screenshot. Pause this video and take a quick screenshot. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam. Now let's understand what is the meaning of thresholds. Okay? People, this mind map will tell you which combination, when it crosses, what are the thresholds that is applicable to a combination. When it crosses the threshold, it will be reviewed by CCI. Okay, what are the thresholds that when a company crosses, when the combination crosses, it will be reviewed by CCI. Which means financial thresholds to determine when a combination must be reviewed. These thresholds ensure that only the larger transactions undergo scrutiny. These thresholds are classified into two categories, individual or group. Let's understand this. Yes, individual, group. Let's talk about individual first. Individual means people. Imagine Flipkart acquires Myntra. The total acquisition of assets crosses 2000 crores. Okay. When Flipkart acquired Myntra, the total assets of Flipkart plus Myntra combined crosses 2000 crores, then it will be reviewed by CCI. Clear? So, when Flipkart acquires Myntra, the assets of Myntra and the assets of Flipkart should be less than 2000 crores, then only it can escape from CCI. If it crosses 2000 crores, it will be reviewed by CCI. Okay, either assets or turnover. Flipkart and Myntra's turnover combined, if it crosses 6000 crores, it will be reviewed by CCI. Okay, this is OR. Clear? These are for individual. Now let's understand for foreign. Over here, foreign means people, when either of the company's assets or operations are in foreign country. Flipkart, if it has operations or assets in the foreign country, then a separate threshold will be applicable for companies that have got assets in foreign also. So, when a company has got its operations or assets in the foreign, and if the combination of Flipkart's asset and the Myntra's asset exceeds $1 billion, then again it will be reviewed by CCI. If turnover crosses $3 billion, it will be reviewed by CCI. Clear? This was assuming operations and assets are only in India. So, if operations and assets are also outside India for individual companies, then this threshold will be applicable. Assets should be more than $1 million, and turnover should be more than $3 billion. Now, what about a group? Reliance Industries, Reliance Group acquired Future Group, then they will be categorized under group threshold. Okay. Over here, if let's say Reliance Industries, all the assets and the operations are in India, and Future Groups, all the assets and the operations are in India, then this threshold will be applicable. Asset, if it crosses 8,000 crores, both the group combined, or if the turnover crosses 24,000 crores. Clear? Then only it will be reviewed by CCI, otherwise it will not be reviewed by CCI. Next is, if imagine Reliance Industries operations or assets are in foreign country, or assets or operations of Future Group are in foreign countries, then this threshold will be applicable. Assets should be more than $4 billion and turnover should be more than $12 billion. Understood, people? This is the threshold you have to remember. Okay. Take a quick screenshot. Pause this video and draw the mind map. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam. So what? Okay. Now we understood. Okay, people, before we started this concept of threshold, we understood the meaning of group. Now what will not be categorized as group? Let's understand. Imagine Future Group has Big Bazaar, has acquired Big Bazaar. They controls 40 to 49% of shares, voting rights or influence in Big Bazaar. Then Big Bazaar will not be considered as a part of Future Group, because Big Bazaar's control is with Big Bazaar. If the control changes hands to Future Group for more than 50%, then it will be considered as a part of the group. Otherwise, it will not be considered as a part of a group. Understood? If Future Group holds shares, voting rights or any other form of control more than 50% in Big Bazaar will be categorized under group of Future Group. Clear? So when will an enterprise not be categorized as a part of a group? When the group exercises less than 50% control in the enterprises, it will not be categorized as an part of a group. Understood, people? Quickly take a screenshot of this also. Pause this video. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, bam. Okay, people, last concept also we will understand. Okay, quickly we will understand. Valuation of assets. Okay, valuation of assets. People, we understood the meaning of combination. Okay, when we understood the meaning of combination, then we understood the meaning of threshold, of turnover, of assets of the combination. Now people, tell me one thing, what all will be included in the assets to consider whether this has crossed threshold or not. Right now we are going to study that. Okay, what should be included in the threshold of assets? Okay, what should be included in the assets to consider it in the threshold calculation, so that CCI will know when to review and when not to review. Understood? Okay. Valuation of assets. The book value of assets must be used. Number one, it must be used. The book value must be used as per the audited books of accounts. Number two, which financial year? Immediately preceding the year of the proposed merger. 2025, the merger is going on. 2024 audited financial statements will be taken into consideration to find out the book value of assets that must be used in the valuation of assets. Understood? Next, assets may include brand value, goodwill, intellectual property rights like patents, trademark, design layouts, clear, other commercial rights. So 4 things that will be included: brand value, goodwill, intellectual property rights like patent, trademark, designs, other commercial rights. Because intellectual assets contribute significantly in the asset while calculating the threshold. We will understand this again now, okay, with an example. Another thing is, people, depreciation must be calculated when arriving at value of assets. Obvious, depreciation must be calculated. Book value of assets must be used as per audited books of accounts for the financial year immediately preceding the year of proposed merger. Number 3, brand value, intellectual property rights will include brand value, goodwill, intellectual property like patents, trademark, designs, other commercial rights, because intellectual assets contribute significantly. Let's understand this in an example. Google's acquisition of Motorola Mobility. Google's acquisition of Motorola Mobility for $12.5 billion that involved a significant portion of intangible assets such as patents, trademarks and brands. In this case, Google valued Motorola's patents and intellectual property, which added a significant value beyond just physical assets. The intellectual assets was more than the physical assets, people. The acquisition exceeded the threshold for regulatory review in multiple regions, including India, and the CCI had to assess whether this combination would lead to an anti-competitive situation in the smartphone and telecom industry. Okay, people, today we will only cover till here. In the next lecture, we are going to continue further. Okay, today we understood the concept of valuation of assets. Number 2, we understood the meaning of group. Number 3, we understood the meaning of group and threshold. We understood the meaning of threshold, whereby we categorize into individual and groups. Then we understood the meaning of combination, understood what is the difference between merger, acquisition, amalgamation, what are the 3 types of combination we understood with an example. That's it. Okay, people, quickly I will tell you one more thing, this case study. Okay, Maruti Suzuki, a leading car manufacturer in India, made significant investments in a new manufacturing plant in Gujarat. This I am explaining you the threshold example. Okay, Maruti Suzuki, a leading car manufacturer in India, made significant investment in a new manufacturing plant in Gujarat. If this combination pushed Maruti Suzuki's assets or turnover beyond the set threshold, that is 6,000 crores, it would have to undergo a competition review to ensure no anti-competitive effect. 6,000 crore threshold, people, we understood. The deal didn't reach the threshold that triggered regulatory review, so it proceeded without CCI's examination. Next, Walmart's acquisition of Flipkart. In 2018, Walmart acquired Flipkart for $16 billion, which was one of the biggest e-commerce deals in India. Threshold check, Flipkart's asset and turnover alone easily exceeded the asset threshold of 2,000 crores and the turnover threshold of 6,000 crores. Because the deal was large enough to potentially impact competition, CCI stepped in to assess if it could harm the e-commerce market or result in monopolistic behavior. After reviewing, the CCI cleared the deal, allowing the merger to go through. This is the importance of understanding the threshold. Okay? Yes, people. People, one more thing I will tell you. Within next 1 to 2 weeks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read you the news of Economic Times in the newspaper. Okay? I'm 100%, I will guarantee you that whatever chapters we have studied till now, raising finance from capital markets, turnover, insider trading, competition act, whatever chapters we have understood till now, any news related to that chapter, you will easily understand that news A to Z, what is happening, what is not happening, how it happens. Okay, that's super interesting, people. Okay, so within next 1 to 2 weeks we will start reading the newspaper Economic Times. Okay, that's going to be super interesting, amazing, people, because you are, whatever you are studying, you are watching it practically and logically. You know every single thing what's happening. What's a more beautiful thing compared to that, right? So in the exam, there is no need that you have to write my examples of Apple, App Store, China, Taiwan, any example that you really love from the newspaper, you can quote it that. Okay, this will be your value addition. Okay, cool. Yes, people. So people, in the next lecture we will continue further. That's all from my side. One more thing I will tell you, if you want these mind maps and notes, immediately contact HGP Academy from the YouTube link below. If you have any doubts regarding any topic, any concept, whether it is the lecture is now or whether it was of 3 to 4 earlier lectures, immediately, without any hesitation, drop me your doubt on WhatsApp message or drop your doubts in the YouTube's comment section. Okay, immediately I will be happy to clear my students' doubts. Clear? Perfect. This is my number, people. Don't spam me, please. 74990 Okay, cool. That's all from my side, people. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.